Hey everyone, my name is Nathan Marineau, and I am part of Group 17 for the Lab 2 Evolution Report. My group is Hannah Bejany, Junu Dimdung, Aleah Ibay, me, and Zoe Smith, and we chose the giraffe and its adaptation of its extremely long neck for this presentation. So there are many different giraffe species and subspecies, but they were actually originally classified as only one, and it's known by its Latin name Giraffa caelopardalis, which I'm probably butchering, but I don't really know Latin, so that means giraffe, camel, leopard in English. But yeah, even though they originally classified as one species, we now know that there's actually four distinct species out there. So it's native to Africa, mostly inhabiting the savannas of Africa, and it is believed that the modern giraffe we see today emerged and evolved around the Pleistocene of East Africa. So as far as its phylogeny and evolution, giraffes are ruminants, which means that they are hoof species and herbivores, and they're the most closely related species still alive today is the okapi, or Okapia johnstoni, of which they both evolved from a common ancestor, which we'll get into in a bit. So you see on the right here, that's the okapi there, and left's obviously a giraffe. You see a lot of similarities between the two. They have very similar body type. Basically, if you were to stretch that okapi's neck out quite a bit and give it a different coat color, you would have something pretty similar to a giraffe. And it's speculated that the proximate ancestors of modern giraffes evolved about 8 million years ago in south-central Europe. And these ancestors were the Antilocaprinae, or the pronghorns, which are actually still around today, but it was a much more primitive version of the pronghorns. And from this genus, two giraffids families arose, the Climacosceratidae and the Canthumericidae. Again, I'm probably butchering. The terminal genus of the Climacosceratidae are the now extinct Sivarium species, which were kind of smaller giraffe creatures, expected to reach about 3 meters in height. So they had a longer neck for sure, definitely longer than an okapi, but definitely nowhere near the size of that massive giraffe neck that we see today. And from the other family we talked about, the Canthumericidae genus, both giraffes and okapis evolved, and they are obviously still around today. As far as their ecological niche, they originate in South Africa and love the savanna biome. They definitely need nice dry open areas, which are found in savannas, lots of trees, and warm temperatures. They are herbivorous, and they eat leaves and fruit from trees, and they specifically prefer to eat acacia trees. They do not really have much competition in food in the wild, due to their long necks, allowing them to eat from high places that other animals just can't. They're actually the tallest animal on Earth, so there's no way that, any other animal is going to be able to compare with the giraffes, except for maybe an elephant reaching up with their trunk. So they usually don't have much trouble finding food, as long as there is enough trees available for them. So for their ecological niche, they actually do contribute to they have a lot of positive influences on the other life forms that they share the environment with. Due to them eating the leaves and fruits from the parts of trees that others can't reach, they actually stimulate growth for the tree, so they make it want to grow higher and taller in order to prevent that from happening again. And they provide open area for themselves and other animals to use. Also, due to the mass amount of leaves that they eat, they disperse seeds around the ecosystem after their digestion. So they eat the seed, they drop it off somewhere, and it actually gets put on the ground with some fertilizer to go with it. So it's a win-win for everybody. As far as their ecological niche, their predators and other animal interactions, they actually don't have too many predators. They're very large, so it's very difficult for even an adult lion to take down a fully grown giraffe, right? But baby giraffes are vulnerable to lions, hyenas, and leopards. But their large neck allows them to see danger from really, really far away. So that's actually another advantage of having that long neck. They can see predators from really far away. Unfortunately, humans are also predators for giraffes, and then it really doesn't matter. whether or not they can see them because we have guns, and yeah, so poachers and all that, not cool. They actually provide food for tick-eating birds because ticks go on their back and stuff, and the birds can just hop on there and just have a nice feast. They provide an alert system for other animals, so they see the predators first, and things like antelopes that are much smaller but still like to eat the grass and the trees are able to use their reactions to decide whether or not to run away. So you see in the photo there, they have the original short-necked ancestor, so a shorter-necked giraffe, but it was very advantageous to be able to reach taller and taller trees and the foliage on them, so they just kept evolving to have a longer and longer neck. This is an example of directional selection because it's favoring an extreme phenotype. It keeps stretching farther and farther until eventually we have this huge neck that we see today. So yeah, this adaptation was related to the environmental circumstances, mostly resource competition, or just partitioning, just being able to reach the food sources that others can't. So for epigenetic inheritance, this mutation that occurs against the concept of parental inheritance by DNA actually creates tags that will then be passed down to the next generation. Over time, giraffes have had an amazing adaptation, which is their long neck. Using this neck, they're able to reach foliage that's possible to reach, and yeah, they're also able to see predators from farther away, which is another advantage from it. But there are also disadvantages to this, which is maintaining proper blood supply and blood pressure due to its extremely long neck. So you can imagine how hard the giraffe's heart is working in order to pump blood all the way up to its brain all the time. It's a pretty big distance it's got to travel under the force of gravity. So, yeah. So resource competition is believed to be the reason for the adaptation. The selective pressure that giraffes face was the need to reach new food sources due to shortages in lower areas of the trees. The upper regions of the trees remain untouched, and the need to obtain that foliage is what caused the adaptation. But there are also other benefits. One example is necking, which is a kind of a ritualistic fight that male giraffes do with each other in order to decide who gets to get the girl. So we'll see an example of this here. You see these two males, and they're probably fighting over one of these two females. You see them bashing their necks together and kind of pushing up into each other. So you can see why it would not only be advantageous to have a long neck for food and seeing predators, but also for warding off other males in order to, secure their mates. So that likely also influenced their evolution. Yeah, and also it also has benefits that you wouldn't expect for droughts because there's actually more water on the top of trees that are, there's more more leaves put together that can hold on to moisture a bit better, and that makes it so that these giraffes that could reach much higher up into these trees can get a bit more water during drought conditions because they're able to get some more of that dew that the other animals wouldn't be able to get. And just a fun fact here, their necks could be 6 feet long, which is crazy long, insanely long. So some examples of convergent evolution. Obviously the giraffe isn't the only animal that's evolved a really long neck. There's a lot of advantages to it. So tortoises, the family Testunidae, have developed a similar adaptation of the long neck, and this is an analogous trait. So the selective conditions that led to the tortoise developing their extended neck is believed to be due to the competition for food resources, specifically vegetation and foliage that they need. They just want to be able to reach those higher food sources. Tortoises are obviously a lot smaller and shorter than giraffes, but still shows an example of evolution favoring that directional selection in order to get a longer neck so that they can get more food. But there's also a couple more advantages to the tortoise's long neck. Reach high food sources. But they're also very useful in some mating displays and, securing the female tortoise, right? showing off to her, etc. Anyway, these are my sources, or our sources. Thanks so much for watching this presentation, and thank you to my group members for helping me out with all this. Hope everyone has a great day, and take care.